Right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to connect. My name is Mark Snyder. I'm a professor of chemical and biomolecular engineering, and I'm also associate dean for graduate education in the College of Engineering. Tonight, what we wanted to do was offer some insight into generally master's programs at Lehigh and the College of Engineering, and then specifically talk about sort of routes to master's degrees, what the college ultimately offers in terms of master's degrees, and then clarify our 4+1 programs or routes to sort of accelerated bachelor's to master's degrees. And so I wanted to start first with just if you're connecting tonight, at least you're intrigued about, pursuing something after a bachelor's degree. So I wanted to start first by sort of thinking about, why students tend to pursue master's degrees. What are the very common sort of reasons for this? To give you some insight into, why you might think about pursuing a master's degree after your bachelor's degree. One reason would be to ultimately enhance or specialize the training that you get during the bachelor's degree program. And I think it's really important to note that this could be, sort of deepening and expanding your knowledge from what you had during the bachelor's degree. But master's degrees also do give the opportunity to pivot slightly in some cases to slightly different areas, right? So you could be pursuing a bachelor's degree in one area and then use the subsequent sort of master's degree to actually explore a completely different area. And certainly students will use the master's degree to do that. Many of our master's degree programs, there are opportunities to do independent research as part of the 30 credit degree program. And so maybe you've had experience with research as an undergraduate and you'd like to continue that, excuse me, at the master's level. There's certainly opportunities to sort of impact your job prospects, right? Whether it's sort of deepening knowledge in a given area with sort of advanced knowledge, to meet specific career goals, or taking advantage of a chance to sort of expand beyond your bachelor's degree, maybe even slightly diversify that degree, to hopefully meet some specific career goals, or sort of serve as a stepping stone, for instance, in your career, and then ultimately. When you're in your career, having the master's degree in hand certainly opens doors in terms of mobility and advancement in a given company. There is a sort of recognized salary impact. So generally, on average, about master's students earn about 12% higher starting salaries than starting bachelor's degree salaries. So I think can be a compelling sort of factor. One of a number of reasons why you might be interested in pursuing a master's degree. And then there's all sorts of other things that come along with the master's degree, right? Additional experience, potential to develop sort of leadership skills, project management skills through a lot of open-ended, more project-based sort of coursework at the graduate level than what you may have had at the undergrad level. And then ultimately, it's additional time meeting new people, expanding your alumni network is a factor as well for students to think about master's degrees. So I wanted to start first by just talking about what is a master's degree in the College of Engineering, and then we can think about sort of routes to master's degrees next. So master's degree requirements are what I've listed here on the slide. Our master's degrees are 30 credit programs. These are essentially 10 3-credit courses comprise a master's degree. Of those 30 credits, 18 credits at least have to be at the 400 level. So if you're a student at Lehigh, right, you have a sense of sort of the numbering scheme of courses, and 300 level and 400 level courses are grad level, right? So 300 level courses are what we call advanced undergraduate or graduate level courses, and 400 level courses are pure graduate level courses. And so when you get a master's degree in any one of the programs in the Rossin College, you ultimately have the opportunity and flexibility to take both 300 and 400 level courses. 18 of the 30 credits must be at this 400 level, pure graduate level courses. The remaining 12 credits of your 30 credit program can be either at the 300 or 400 level. In a given discipline, also at least 18 of the credits have to be in that major field of study that you're pursuing, and then 15 of those credits have to be at the 400 level in your major field of study. Now, major field can be, as I have here, sort of in quotes, right? If you are pursuing a master's degree in one of our interdisciplinary programs, exactly what that major field of study is sort of dictated by, how closely linked courses are to a given master's degree program, and that's better defined by program to program. There are academic requirements, right, for master's degrees that I've listed here. Um, and the sort of important point I think to make here is that there is a lot of flexibility given in our master's programs for students to sort of customize their degree to meet their career goals. And so, outside of programs having sort of core courses that are required for a master's degree, there tends to be a lot of flexibility for at least 12 of the 30 credits, oftentimes being sort of open electives, right, that one can take outside of your discipline. You can explore even outside of the college as well. College of Arts and Science, College of Business is even possible. And master's programs in the college are of essentially two different types. You can do pure 30 credit coursework-based master's programs. Even in those coursework-based master's programs, there's a lot of project work, very common in graduate level coursework. And so it's not simply, book learned sort of programs, but a lot of applying, and developing knowledge. You also have the possibility in many of our programs to do research-based masters. So that is 6 of the 30 credits could be independent research with a faculty advisor. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the routes to master's degrees. So I sort of break this between what I'd call conventional master's degrees and then accelerated degrees, that to highlight what the differences are. And so when I say conventional master's degrees, you can think of, going through your 4-year bachelor's degree to get your BS, and then afterwards, right, applying into and starting a master's degree program. And this can happen in various ways, right? So I have a little diagrams here to sort of help visualize this. One could certainly, complete their 4-year bachelor's degree, go and find a job, and then ultimately come back and pursue a master's degree sort of separate from completion of their bachelor's degree. Certainly, we have plenty of students who complete their bachelor's degree, decide very late that they're interested in pursuing a master's degree, and decide to do this before going and finding employment, right? So right after bachelor's degree is completed, actually applying into and starting that very next academic semester on their master's degree. And in both of these scenarios, specifically the second one that I mentioned, a 30 credit master's degree program typically takes 3 academic semesters. So at the graduate level, full-time student status is 9 credits a semester. And so it's not uncommon for students in this mode to take about 3 academic semesters to complete that master's degree. Sometimes even 4 academic semesters, depending on how they decide to distribute the course load. And so what that amounts to then, if you think about your 4-year bachelor's degree, added to it a year and a half or 2-year master's degree, you're thinking about a total degree time from start of bachelor's to the end of the master's degree of about 5.5 or 6 years. And so there's other options as well that you can think about to try to accelerate that timeline. And what I want to point out are essentially two ways to think about that in the context of Rossin engineering master's degree programs. And so ultimately, our 4+1 program is one in which you can earn both your bachelor's degree and a Master of Science or Master of Engineering in a total of 5 years, relative to the 5.5 or 6 years of the conventional model that I mentioned before. And the way that you do that is depicted here. You do this by, while pursuing your bachelor's degree, during your junior and senior year, you take up to 12 credits, up to 4 courses at the graduate level. These could be 300 level or 400 level courses. You're taking these while completing your bachelor's degree. And Lehigh allows our students to take and reserve up to 12 credits of graduate level coursework while they're completing their bachelor's degree, and then ultimately, reserve that towards their graduate study. The caveat is that these 12 credits have to be beyond the credits that are counted towards the bachelor's degree. So there is no possibility at Lehigh, at least currently, for double counting courses for both the graduate and undergraduate degree. But what that sort of interleaving of those graduate credits with the courses that you're taking your junior and senior year does is ultimately shortens the amount of time that it takes to complete both the bachelor's and master's degree, and it can be a significant sort of time shortening. If you are ultimately able to take the full 12 credits and reserve those credits, this means you have 18 credits remaining towards that master's degree. And so this is typically done in 2 academic semesters, or, hence the +1 in our 4+1 degree programs. The alternative to that is to think about pursuing a master's degree, much like the scenario that I've talked about up here as conventional bachelor's and master's degrees. We have a number of cohort-based 10-month master's degree programs. And so these programs are accelerated on their own. They typically are starting in the second summer session, with students taking 6 credits during that second summer session, followed by a fall and spring academic semester. In each of those semesters, students would be taking 12 credits. And ultimately, within the span of 10 months, following completion of the bachelor's degree, students can ultimately complete a master's degree in any one of our 10-month master's degree programs. And so not all of our programs, we have a subset of our master's degree programs that fall into this category. And so one can then, essentially have the same sort of time savings in this mode without the need to actually take and reserve courses at the bachelor's level towards the graduate degree program. In the end, both amount to essentially 30 to 50% time savings in comparison to a sort of standalone 30-credit master's degree program. So the outside of sort of the time factor, there is a cost factor to consider as well. Generally, no matter which route you take of the ones I've mentioned in the previous slide, that is sort of completing your bachelor's degree first and then pursuing a 30-credit master's degree separate, or thinking about how do you sort of take and reserve courses while pursuing your bachelor's degree, for graduate study, or, pursuing a cohort-based 10-month degree program afterwards. In all of those scenarios, the college, it has been committed actually since enrollment starting back in summer 2022 and continuing going forward, to award a range of alumni and merit scholarships to make sure that students, our own graduates, Lehigh alumni who enroll in master's programs in the Rossin College, will pay no more than 60% of the base tuition for their master's degree programs. And that applies whether you're, doing sort of the conventional master's degree following the bachelor's degree, or if you've reserved credits. The idea, of course, if you've reserved credits, the cost savings that you get there is really coming from the fact that you're taking those courses while pursuing your undergraduate degree. The big difference to point out between a master's degree, so graduate studies, and undergraduate studies is that the tuition model is different. So for master's degrees or any graduate degrees that you pursue, you ultimately pay per credit as opposed to sort of a flat tuition. And so right now in the 2024-2025 academic year, the per credit cost is 1590. And so what does that look like sort of on our balance sheet? That means that overall, in terms of academic year 24-25 numbers, a master's degree would cost $47,700. Through course reservations, so taking courses while you're paying sort of a flat undergraduate tuition, as well as with the various sort of alumni and merit scholarships that the college offers, specifically to make sure that no student, no alumni is going to pay more than 60% of the base tuition, and in some cases with some merit scholarship, that number goes down to just 50%. Ultimately, the value there, the benefits that you get from those course reservations and also various sort of scholarship monies range anywhere from about $19,000 to more than $23,000. And so what it means is that the actual cost is not $47,700 for Lehigh alumni. The actual cost for a master's degree ranges anywhere from, $23,850 to $28,620, and these are on the basis of current academic year numbers. I think it's sort of insightful to see how that all of those numbers actually compare to the national average for Masters of Science degrees. Even the base cost for a full cost for a master's degree in the Rossin College falls pretty significantly below the average cost for a Master of Science degree right now. And certainly with the cost savings that come about because of course reservation and scholarship, various sort of scholarship monies, we're ultimately well below the cost of that's the average cost for a master's degree nationally. Of course, it's not an insignificant number, right? So that's still a significant cost, especially after completing a bachelor's degree. And so I just list here some other avenues for financial support to, help address some of the remaining costs associated with the master's degrees. So certainly there's possibility for financial aid, various sort of payment installment plans. There are some limited opportunities for stipend support, not additional tuition support, but specifically stipend support to help, for instance, with living expenses. This can come via various course assistantships in the Rossin College, graduate assistantships that are actually available across the university. Of course, various external scholarships, are possible as well. I should point out that research assistantships and full teaching assistantships at the master's level are actually quite uncommon for master's students. These typically are reserved for PhD students. But the other three options are certainly available for our master's students to help sort of offset some of the costs associated with the master's degree. And then last but not least, I think it's important to point out, if you decide to actually go and work, you can, while pursuing your master's degree, it's very common for employers to have educational benefits that they offer to their employees to pursue higher studies. And so along those lines, um, a lot, not all, but a lot of our master's degree programs in the College of Engineering are available in an online mode, and they can be taken in a part-time mode. Of course, if you're doing this as a part-time student, that time to degree is certainly going to be lengthened because you'll take one course at a time while commonly working a full-time job. But these are things to consider for generally for master's degree programs. So what I want to run through quickly is just, what options are available through the Rossin College. And so this QR code, if you scan it, and it'll pop back up after I quickly run through this slide, will take you to a page that shows you a listing with associated web pages of all of our master's degree programs, both within our individual departments as well as outside of our departments. And so it's important to point out that all of our eight academic departments in the College of Engineering offer various master's degree programs. So some Masters of Science, some both Masters of Science and Masters of Engineering. In the end, in both cases, depending, sort of independent of whether it's an MS or MEng, there are opportunities to do full coursework-based master's programs, as well as opportunities to engage in research with faculty members while pursuing the master's degrees. And so, those eight academic departments, if you're a student right now, you have a sense of what these academic departments are. So bioengineering, computer science and engineering, all of these offer Masters of Science or Masters of Engineering, mechanical engineering and mechanics, industrial and systems engineering. So in addition to offering a degree specifically in industrial engineering and optimization research is one of their master's degree programs. Industrial engineering also offers a degree program, an MS in just optimization. Material science and engineering offers MS programs. Chemical and biomolecular engineering, my home department offers a pure sort of chemical engineering master's degree program, as well as a program in something called biological chemical engineering. So a little bit of a mixture of both biological sciences and chemical engineering in that particular program. Electrical and computer engineering. There's both electrical engineering master's degrees and computer engineering separate sort of master's degrees. And the same applies for civil and environmental engineering as it's a single department, but they offer separate degrees in civil engineering and environmental engineering. And so those are the eight departments with more than eight different flavors of master's degrees. Outside of the departments, we have a number of what I call like specialized master's programs. So we offer a program in polymer science and engineering. That particular program is an all online program right now. So that's something to keep in mind. We offer a program joint with the College of Business and the College of Arts and Science in financial engineering. Actually, out of the Industrial and Systems Engineering department, there's a master's degree program in health systems engineering. Primarily out of civil and environmental engineering, there's a 10-month cohort-based structural engineering program. We have a program, another 10-month program in energy systems engineering, a program in technical entrepreneurship, again, another 10-month program. The newest program in the College of Engineering is one in catastrophe modeling and resilience. And then the second newest program, in its third year now, is a program in data science, and that can be both done in 10 months or longer, depending on sort of student interests and what they end up pursuing along the course of the degree. So there again is the QR code. If you didn't have time to scan it before, again, it'll take you to a website with links to additional websites, that offer lots of details about each of these master's degree programs, both ones that are, coming from individual departments, as well as these specialized master's degree programs. Where it really makes most sense to think about the 4+1 program, the opportunities to sort of interleave the graduate coursework, right? Some amount of graduate coursework up to 12 credits with undergraduate curriculum is primarily in these department-specific degree programs, but it is also possible even in the specialized master's programs as well. So, of course, it's important to sort of think about what are students in our master's programs, no matter how they pursue those master's programs, what are the outcomes? They're quite good. So our students end up in, top companies. The numbers that are shown here show you a distribution of industries that students who have graduated actually in 2023 now, where they ended up, of course, primarily in technology companies, a good fraction in manufacturing, and then a range of other industries as well as depicted there. I should also point out that about 18% of our master's students do end up going on to pursue even higher education, right? So pursuing PhDs either at Lehigh in our various sort of departmental PhD programs or at domestic and international PhD programs at other institutions. And so, these degrees sort of set you up for further study or to leverage those degrees in an industrial pathway. And so what I'd like to do is just end with a little bit of um, details about, what would be next steps, right? You're thinking about, the possibility of pursuing a master's degree either in the mode where you're completing the bachelor's degree and sort of separately looking at the master's degree, or you're early enough in your degree program where you have the opportunity to start thinking about how you could take and reserve some number of courses, for graduate studies. And so the first scenario, right, you're completing your bachelor's degree this coming spring, um, or you're just unable, right, given the number of credits that one has to take to complete a bachelor's degree in engineering, you're unable to take and reserve 12 graduate credits. And so in that scenario, you would identify a master's program that matches your interests. Again, this could be in the discipline that you're in, or it could be a chance to sort of pivot to a different discipline. And ultimately, what's really important is that as you explore programs and think about whether they make sense, you want to set up times to meet with program directors, graduate program directors, or master's program directors in areas that you think you might want to pursue. These faculty and staff will help you sort of decide, how easy will it be for you to bridge into a given master's degree program, especially in the case where you're thinking about maybe, slightly pivoting to a different area, and they can think about or help you think about, how best to structure that. Then you would ultimately apply into the master's degree program of interest. This can be done all the way through the spring semester of your bachelor's degree, um, pretty late into that semester. We do pride ourselves on fairly quick turnarounds. The master's degrees or master's applications do have a rolling admissions process, and so we try to get decisions back to applicants within a couple weeks. And then ultimately in this scenario, you would take advantage of the Rossin scholarships, available alumni scholarships and/or merit scholarships for at least a 40% cost savings on the overall master's tuition. And then last but not least, you would enter that program. And pretty commonly, if you're doing this full time, be able to complete that in 3 academic semesters, about 10 credits each semester. In the alternative scenario where you think that maybe you're early on enough in your bachelor's degree, so you have a chance to start thinking about how do you schedule things appropriately? How do you try to make room in the junior and senior year so that you can actually take and reserve graduate level courses? Again, the first thing is identifying a program of interest and talking with an advisor from that program, right? The key is, right, beginning early when you think about curriculum planning, especially if you're going to try to make room later in the schedule. You have to think about, what courses make sense to take a bit earlier in the progression so that you end up being able to make room later in the progression. Ultimately, in the 4+1 degree program, you do complete a formal sort of declaration to say, specifically which program are you interested in pursuing for your master's degree. If any of those who are logged in tonight, our first year students, maybe second year students, when you completed the Common App to come to Lehigh, there was a question within the past 2 application cycles asking if you were interested in the 4+1 program, and if you indicated that, your formal offer letter ultimately admitted you into the 4+1 program, into the bachelor's degree program, with the caveat that as long as you essentially complete all the requirements of the bachelor's degree at a level that allows for you to move into the master's degree program, then you're sort of guaranteed admission into that +1 master's degree program. But that being said, you indicated that before you had even declared a major, right? And so now that you're on campus, once you have a chance to talk with various sort of academic advisors and identify the program that you're interested in pursuing, ultimately at that point you complete a formal declaration form um, to indicate exactly what program you want to pursue. Then the sort of requirements are that you earn a cumulative GPA of at least 3.0 by the end of your fifth undergraduate semester. So this would be the fall semester of your junior year. And then you would go and complete up to 12 credits again at the graduate level, at the 300 or 400 level. You have to earn a grade of B, of a B or better. And again, these 12 credits have to be distinct from the bachelor's degree requirements. If you do this by overloading, right, at the undergraduate level, taking more than 18 credits, you would ultimately have to petition, as you do for sort of standard progression through the bachelor's degree. Where the petitioning becomes a little bit more critical is if you decide to pursue those 12 credits at the 400 level. So the 400 level are graduate courses. In order to take a graduate level course, a 400 level course as an undergraduate, you do have to petition and get approval to take a 400 level course. There are also requirements, right? So if you decide to take a 400 level course in a given academic semester, you cannot overload as an undergraduate. So the maximum number of credits for one 400 level course that semester would be 18 credits. If you decide in a given academic semester you have room and you'd like to take two 400 level courses to reserve towards graduate studies, actually the maximum number of credits in that case goes down to just 15. It's reflective of the heavier nature of graduate level courses. So last but not least, sort of the final academic semester of your bachelor's degree, once you've gotten that started, you will petition at that point to be able to reserve or to request to reserve any of the courses that you've taken at the graduate level for that graduate degree program. And so again, they wouldn't be counted anymore towards your bachelor's degree, and you would specify for the registrar's office which courses specifically you would be reserving towards your graduate studies. And then last but not least, you would submit a formal application into the relevant master's program. The nice thing is if you've gone through this process and you've formally declared the program of interest, as long as you log in with your Lehigh ID, there is a sort of streamlined master's application that you would be taken to. So typically a master's application would require transcripts, a resume, personal statement, test scores. We don't require GREs, but for international students, we require language test scores. And for master's degree programs, specifically letters of recommendation. In the case of students who have declared the 4+1 program, that process is much more streamlined. Of course, you would give your sort of demographic information, but you would only be required to upload an unofficial transcript from Lehigh as well as a resume. And you would not be required to write a personal statement, submit any test scores, or submit any letters of recommendation. That specific application should be triggered ultimately by your declaration of the 4+1 program of interest, as long as you log into that to apply using your Lehigh email ID. So let me just end with just running through a couple frequently asked questions. And then what I'll do is I will ask, we have a number of master's students in different programs in the College of Engineering who have joined us tonight, some of whom are 4+1 students, so prior Lehigh students, Lehigh alumni who are now enrolled in a master's program and have taken various routes into the program. Some, completing the bachelor's degree without reserving any credits, others sort of taking advantage of the 4+1 program. And then we'll open it up to questions that you have for me or for the students in attendance. So let me just quickly run through some frequently asked questions. Undoubtedly, some of these were things that were already popping into your mind. Students are curious, like, how do I choose a master's program? I showed you the various programs in the College of Engineering. And my suggestion there would be to sort of think about your career goals. What job do you desire, right? And then on that basis, what skills ultimately would be required for that, right? Again, think about, your sort of career goals? Are you looking to sort of deepen your understanding, right? To get more fundamental, deeper sort of understanding beyond what you get at the bachelor's level in that same area? Or are you looking to maybe use this as an opportunity to sort of expand your skill set, maybe pivot to a slightly different area? There commonly students will think, should I stay at Lehigh and get a master's degree here, or should I go elsewhere? And really, there's reasons to do either, right? So certainly going to another institution for a master's degree, getting a different flavor of education beyond what you have at Lehigh, it's not a bad idea by any means. Ultimately, if you stay at Lehigh, there's you can take advantage of the cost savings associated with sort of your alumni status. But certainly there are great programs, not just at Lehigh, but across the country, and you should, openly consider, all of these so that you are comfortable with the decision that you make, right? Ultimately, I always just encourage students to make an informed decision, explore your options here at Lehigh, explore your options elsewhere, and then come to a conclusion, as to what fits you best, and how best can you meet your career goals. The questions come up about internship opportunities. Absolutely, there's internship opportunities, just like you have opportunities as an undergraduate. So the Center for Career and Professional Development has a graduate counselor, a dedicated graduate counselor. We bring, companies, just like companies come on campus for undergraduates pursuing their bachelor's degrees. Those same companies oftentimes look for graduate students to pursue internships. And it's just a matter of deciding, how it fits best in your curriculum. Oftentimes that intervening summer is a great time to do that internship. And then, planning. If anything that you take away from, the discussion earlier, the key thing is planning early, right? As early as possible to make sure that you're, pursuing the specific degree program of interest. You have a sense of, is there specific bridging courses that are required if you're thinking about a slight pivot? If you're thinking about fully engaging in the 4+1 program, getting advice early, how do you sort of structure the courses that you're taking so that you make room in your schedule for your junior and senior year? These are key questions that you want to explore with an academic advisor. Specifically for 4+1 degree programs, I mentioned both 300 and 400 level coursework. Which courses are eligible? Essentially all, right? And the key thing is, again, going to be you having really detailed conversations with an academic advisor, with a graduate program director in your specific area of interest, and they'll be able to help you look at your undergraduate sort of pathway, the courses that you've taken, what you would like to do at the graduate level, and they'll help you sort of navigate that process and identify specific courses that fit into the requirements of that specific degree program, but also fit with your career goals. I've already mentioned, unfortunately, we don't allow for double counting of the bachelor's and master's degree courses. This is a Lehigh policy. The the question does come up, how do you sort of plan your curriculum so that you can actually fully take advantage of this accelerated path, take all four of the possible courses? It really does require some very careful planning. And sometimes it's not possible, right? So sometimes, no matter how much planning you do and shifting around courses for various sort of reasons, you simply may not have the time to be able to fit in all 12 credits while pursuing your graduate degree. Just keep in mind that even if you take one or two courses, right, those still can be reserved towards your graduate studies. And again, the college, through various sort of merit scholarships and alumni scholarships, we ensure that no student's going to pay more than 60% of that base cost for the overall graduate tuition. The, you know, if you engage in the 4+1 program, students say, like, am I bound to that 1 year? I must complete it in that 1 year. And the answer is no. Certainly you can, take longer, right? Maybe your course plan changes, right? As you start your master's degree program, there's nothing saying that it must be completed in a certain amount of time. And also keep in mind that for a master's degree or graduate degree, you're paying tuition on the basis of credits, not time in the degree, unlike at the undergrad level. Certainly, you could study abroad while you're pursuing your undergraduate degree. Just keep in mind that the more that you do at the undergraduate level, the harder it becomes to actually fit all of these additional courses, these four additional courses in that you could reserve towards graduate studies. If you happen to be in the IBE, IDEAS, or CSB program, it's still a possibility to do 4+1. If you're an IBE student and you're pursuing a fifth year accredited degree in an engineering discipline, in addition to the base IBE degree, of course, this you're already sort of thinking about 5 years. And so, one has to think carefully about it becomes essentially a 5+1 program. There are possibilities, though, of essentially, instead of getting an accredited undergraduate degree, using that +1 year as a way to get a master's degree yeah, from an engineering discipline instead of pursuing a bachelor's degree in that discipline, essentially doing everything all at once. But again, that requires very careful conversations and planning with an academic advisor in your area of interest. And then last but not least, I'm not sure how many are in attendance that are maybe first year students. Can you formally declare the 4+1 program as a first year student? If you're in the sort of case where you were admitted into Lehigh effectively into the 4+1 program because you indicated that interest in your application, we still do again ask you to do this formal declaration once you've decided the master's program of interest. And we ask for that to be done after you've actually declared an undergraduate major, because ultimately that declaration form requires input and a signature from your undergraduate faculty academic advisor, as well as the master's program director. So with that, I've talked a lot. I'm going to keep this last slide up here with my contact information. My counterpart on the undergraduate side, so the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, is Professor Derek Brown. His contact information, and then Angelo Lambrosino, who's in attendance tonight. He is the graduate manager in a recruitment manager in the college. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up with me specifically or Professor Brown. We can help you with a whole range of questions. Certainly on the academic side of the picture, Angelo is going to be able to make connections for you to academic programs, but he's not an academic advisor. He's a recruitment manager. So with that, let me just ask the master's students in attendance to quickly unmute yourselves, give us your name, the program of interest, and let us know if how you got into the master's program. Were you a 4+1 student or otherwise?
Hello, my name's Nick. I just want to weigh in because I think I have the longest track to be here. I did my undergrad, then I worked in the industry, and then I came to get my master's. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of graduate school. If I could say a couple things, it's just like don't underestimate the value of the exposure to the graduate level coursework, especially in engineering. Like I'm in biological chemical engineering. It's totally different. It's flipped. You're becoming the expert and you're treated as such. You're held to a very high standard, but you learn a ton. And kind of take advantage of what Lehigh's offering you. As undergrads, they're offering you the discount, and I truly believe, like, you guys are high caliber students. The programs that you guys are in right now are no joke. I did my undergrad somewhere else. I went to a state school, and like all the people I've met in the program at the master's level, doctoral level, who came from Lehigh were just exceptionally prepared. And I think it says a lot that you guys are even considering this. So, get ahead of the curve, use that experience. It really translates in ways that you may not see yet. So, yeah.
I could probably go next. Hi, my name is Jacob Slotcher. I'm in the mechanical engineering program here at Lehigh. I graduated with my bachelor's here at Lehigh for also mechanical engineering this past spring, and I'm currently doing my master's. Now, I took a little bit of a different approach. I personally didn't do 4+1. However, I did all of my undergrad first. I just took like 18 credit semester just to get it out of the way. And then now I'm doing my grad program. Now I'm doing mine in a little bit over a year. I'll call it 15 months because I personally, since I took such a larger load on my undergrad, I thought it would be better to take a little bit lesser load on my grad courses since they're going to be harder. So like, for example, since I graduated in the spring, I did 2 classes this past summer, 3 right now, 3 next spring, and then 2 next summer, and then I'm done. So that's just another way to do it. There's many ways, but yeah.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Andy Chung. I am part of the Masters of Energy Systems Engineering program, the master's program. I did the 4+1 program as a previous undergraduate at Lehigh University. I was a ideas major whose focus was on energy as well. So I was able to reserve 9 credits to be used for my master's program, which sort of helped with the workload for the fall and spring semester. And yeah.
Hi, my name's Mia. I came to Lehigh in 2020, and I just graduated in May with a bachelor's of arts in product design. And I came into Lehigh thinking I would just do 4 years of undergrad, kind of go into industry, and then eventually get my master's. But kind of seeing just how I could leverage my skills now in as smooth as a transition as possible, given the discount that Lehigh gives, as well as the 1 year program, just seemed like the smartest idea for me, as well as just kind of like real life settings that my program brings. By the way, I'm in the technical entrepreneurship program. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, so I think it just offered the smooth transition that I was looking for at the moment, to kind of get that extra leg up when moving into industry, like Professor Snyder mentioned earlier. So that's what I was looking for mostly.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Yash Boor. I am a graduate ambassador for the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. I am a first year master's student. I am an international student. I did not go through one of the routes that the rest of the guys have taken here. But yeah, so I'm from India, Asia, and yeah, we mainly deal with a lot of optimization and stuff like that. So right now we have 3 programs, as Mark mentioned, which is industrial engineering operations research, optimization, and healthcare and systems engineering. So that's about it. Thanks.
Was there one more ambassador here? Can't remember. Swatcha, yeah. Swatcha, did you want to introduce yourself?
Can you like guys hear me? I don't understand what's happening here, but yeah,
You're
guys,
audible.
yeah. Hi everybody. I'm like a graduate student too. I'm pursuing my master's in computer science, and I'm an international student. The course, I think we're offering the computer science, and also there's a data science program here, and the coursework that I'm doing currently it like has a bit of machine learning and also like data science. So that's about me.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. So
Yeah.
we'd want to open it up to questions at this point, just to keep things as smooth as possible. If you have questions, I'd encourage you to drop them in the chat, and I'll just, as they're coming through, I'll try to answer questions and then maybe pass them to a couple of our ambassadors, the ones that make sense for them to answer. So certainly feel free to ask specific questions here, that I can pass to ambassadors. So a question came in directly to me, so you don't see this one, asking what the ideal time is for an undergraduate student to choose the 4+1 program as a first-year student, a second year, or other. And so I try to address that, but it's good to sort of revisit that. When you come into Lehigh, you may have informally, sort of declared an interest in a given department, a given bachelor's degree program. Your formal declaration, right, for that degree program will happen in this spring semester, this coming spring semester, right? So undoubtedly, right now, if you're in that sort of situation, you're taking Engineering 5, Engineering 10, right, and exploring what options you have for you. And so what we encourage you to do is get beyond that sort of declaration of your program, your specific bachelor's degree program, and then at that point start thinking about declaring a 4+1 master's degree program. Of course, as quickly after that as possible is a good idea, right? And even if now you have really strong interest in a bachelor's degree program, there's nothing that says that you can't already start the conversation with a master's program director, right? Because those conversations will help determine courses that you should start thinking about taking and rearranging sort of schedules as early as possible, so you have room in your schedule to take and reserve courses later in the curriculum, your junior and senior year. Another question that came in says, if I got admitted into Lehigh with bioengineering 4+1, right? So that means that you declared strong interest in bioengineering. You won't formally declare that until the spring semester. But, and also in the Common App, you indicated, interest in the 4+1, so you were admitted ultimately into that 4+1 program. The question is, does it matter if I wanted to pursue a Master of Science in Engineering instead? And I'll take the question that says, would I still be in the 4+1 program? Absolutely. So the idea of the Common App question is really just to, for you to indicate whether you want to be considered and think about that possibility of this accelerated bachelor's to master's degree program. Ultimately, the next step is a formal declaration, right, of your bachelor's degree. Instead of bioengineering, what you thought, coming into Lehigh, you've, sort of been exposed to various engineering disciplines, and, you've decided instead to pursue a Master of Science in Engineering. That has no bearing on the +1 degree program, right? After you declare, or as you're declaring that bachelor's degree, you can already start thinking about, what might you want to pursue as a master's degree? Is it a master's degree in material science, right? Maybe it's a master's degree in bioengineering, right? Your original thought for what you wanted out of your bachelor's degree. Or maybe it's a completely different program where you're looking to, have the chance to pivot a little bit in the future on the basis of a master's degree. So there's nothing, restricting you there. Ultimately, you're still formally sort of a 4+1 student, right? And you would just need to decide and declare what master's program you want to go into for the +1 year. A question came in: is there an aerospace master's? It's a good question. There's currently an aerospace minor in mechanical engineering at the bachelor's degree level. There will, so if it depends on, I don't know from the question if you're, where you are in your bachelor's degree. There is in the next year or year and a half or 2 years, Lehigh will be opening up a master's degree program in aerospace engineering. It doesn't currently exist, so if you happen to be a senior, by the time you'd be applying into a master's degree program this next academic year, that aerospace program probably won't be fully launched. But if you're a little earlier in your bachelor's degree, I fully expect that by the time you graduate, there will be a fully launched aerospace master's program. Are there other questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat. I don't see any specific questions coming in. I think so the grad ambassadors that all introduced themselves did a nice job of sort of sharing their pathway, right? And quite nicely, we didn't really plan it this way, but there's one or more ambassadors almost following every one of the routes that we talked about, right, and highlighted into the master's degree program. Certainly, full engagement or primary engagement in a 4+1 program, to completion of the bachelor's degree, followed by the master's degree, sort of separately. Any words of wisdom from any of the ambassadors in terms of if you think back to when you were a first, second, third year student pursuing your bachelor's degree, how early in your bachelor's degree did you start thinking about pursuing a master's degree?
Can I talk?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I've done my bachelor's in India, but I wasn't aware of a lot of options about the integrated course, and would have been a nice opportunity. Like I would have saved one more year of my life. So yeah, and that would have been an opportunity if I would have known about the course, like the availability of an integrated course. Yeah, like
Mhm.
that's one thing I regret, like not taking it, but knowing it before. This is like actually a good session to like letting people know what the course is
Mhm.
available. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I hope it like reaches people. Yeah,
Yeah. There
yeah.
was a question that came in of whether the recording of this webinar will be available later, and the answer is yes. So once the recording is available, we will share it out by email with anybody who's registered. So everybody who registered who wasn't able to attend tonight, as well as those of you who were able to attend, that'll be shared out along with actually a listing of the current in each of the graduate programs, the current contacts for you to go and reach out to start discussions around, master's degree programs. So we'll share a list out as well with those 4+1 advisors. Jacob, did I see you say that you wanted to make a comment, or was it maybe Nicholas? Yeah.
Yeah, no. So if I could, I was one of those people who didn't realize that I wanted to enter applied science until I was a senior. And by then, like, I was like, no, I'm going to graduate. I'm afraid of making the jump. So if you're kind of in that position where you feel like you're a little farther down the line than maybe you should be to consider 4+1, it may be worth considering taking the jump, because now that I'm here, it's like there are so many experiences and skills that you're going to get, and you can really bend a master's in whatever direction you want to do. And like, you're going to be exposed to so many different people's research that it might click in a way that you just haven't even seen yet. So I don't know, consider it. Consider it. It's worth it.
Great. And any other questions or comments? Andy, it looks like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I honestly did not know I was gonna do a master's until my senior year. I think I applied for the 4+1 program at the spring semester of my senior year. So it's very last minute. I would recommend that if you are interested in the 4+1 program, want to do your master's right after your undergrad, that you plan ahead, unlike me. But like, I digress. I honestly just didn't really know what I was gonna do for after college, and my supervisor for my work study student I was work studying with the master's program of energy systems engineering. She just said that you should just continue on doing my master's, and I sort of just followed. Sure, like, made my decisions, and yeah, just yeah. No,
Uh,
yeah, just like deciding to do your master's, it could be like, years before, or just like right at your senior year.
Right. I think so that I believe the sort of structure at Lehigh allows you to have any of these possibilities, right? So you can be, well into your bachelor's degree and come to the realization that you'd want to pursue a master's degree. To be honest, that's sort of the more common, right? So, having like getting to the point where you know what that master's degree is that you'd like to pursue often requires you to be well into your bachelor's degree program, right? That being said, if you think that you have potential interest in doing that additional master's degree, starting to think about it early, exploring different options, right? And if you want to take full advantage of the ability to reserve credits, it does require some very careful planning, right? So, sort of knowing that that's probably the direction you want to go towards a master's degree, making sort of arrangements for that. And even if you come to your senior year and say, you know what, I think I want to just go and get a job, there's nothing saying that you can't do that. Ultimately, you end up with a handful of graduate credits. And certainly if you decide, very late that you want to, or you want to come back to Lehigh, after you've worked for a while, those graduate credits do last for a period of time. And so you could certainly use them at that time. Well, another question did come in, and probably one of the last ones we'll be able to take in the time that we have. Somebody's asked, if I'm not an IBE, can I still choose to do a program that would be interdisciplinary, like an MBA in engineering program? So MBA in engineering program, it's not a program that I mentioned, as when I went through the slide of the various programs that we offer, only because that dual degree program, the MBA side of it requires work experience. And so ultimately, the requirement is 2 years of work experience before you're able to actually engage in the MBA and engineering program. And so certainly you can pursue the MBA and engineering program later, but it does require you to go and work, after completing your bachelor's degree here at Lehigh before you would return for that dual degree program. So. All right, I think we've come now to the end of our sort of allotted time. So I want to be respectful of your time and certainly thank you again for taking the time out of your night to connect with us. I want to thank the graduate ambassadors for their input and insights. Hopefully you had got a sense of their excitement about their master's degrees. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is here. My colleague, Professor Derek Brown, who's the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education. If you have any questions, certainly on the academic side, we would be able to help you. And then Angelo Lambertino, the Graduate Recruitment Manager, can help point you in the right direction. He won't be able to do academic advising, but certainly he can help you with the master's admissions process, right, and ultimately help make connections to specific program advisors if you do have questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out if questions arise. And thank you everybody very much for taking the time to join us tonight.